Good news for fans of Mike and Sulley to the rescue. Could be open a bit longer. Meanwhile, new developments at Avengers Infinity Defense changes my perspective on how things are being built. But first, we're going to start this report with some great news for those who park at the Toy Story parking lot. I arrived a couple weeks ago for a rope drop, and I was surprised to see us heading down this path. If you've parked here before, you know what I'm talking about, instead of the path to the left. And as I turned my gaze to the right, I realized that's where we're parking. Disney has changed the scope of the preferred parking spaces. It's 8:51 here at the Toy Story parking lot, and if you've ever come to a rope drop or a point in time this early in the day, you will know that this entire lot from this side all the way to bag check was reserved for VIP parking or preferred parking, or on the far end there, you can see the signs back there for the disability. All of these lanes here, this one, and this one, the ones we're walking through now, have now been given back to standard standby type parking. This is something that's been the case now for a couple of weeks. I discovered this on a rope drop morning, and I was super excited. And I asked the cast member that was here, helping guests park, and he said, "Yeah, it's permanent. This is they've reinstated part of this parking lot," which is super exciting because, one of the reasons why you park at Toy Story was because the proximity to actual bag check is just a short walk, and they kind of took that from us because you used to have to park, even at rope drop, you'd have to park on the far half of the Woody lot, and it would fill up quickly, and before you know it, you're on the far end to the point where you're almost thinking about walking it in. When they first opened this new bag check station here, all of this was set aside for regular parking. There was no VIP parking. Well, maybe there was, I'm not sure, but it might have been just one lane. But there you see there's the disabled parking there, and then that's that one line right there, that one's row. Actually, no, this one as well. I take that back. This one as well, the one that's empty right now. Those are still preferred parking, but these three have been given back. Very, very exciting. Exciting if you're if you're a person who comes to the park on a constant and regular basis like me. I'm not sure if anybody else will feel this, but locals, annual pass holders, Magic Key holders, you guys know what I'm talking about. But on this day, we're not taking the Toy Story bus. We're going to walk it in. We're walking it in because I want to go to the hotels on Harbor Boulevard so I can see what's going on at Avengers Infinity Defense. We talked about there's some interesting developments happening here that's going to change our perspective. But before we even get to that, we're going to see, look at that 4-point harness right there. What are they lifting that requires that sucker? That is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that kind of crane activity on any work site ever. We're gonna have to look into that when we get to Avengers Campus inside the park, because we can't tell what it is. It's on the other side of that construction. Meanwhile, we're not seeing anything new to report on here on this side. That actually looks kind of like they're done for now on that portion of the building. Same for this side. I mean, there is activity in there, but what we can see from this side looks to be, kind of done, kind of finished. But there's some guys. Ooh, what are they doing? Lots of like individual movement back there. We can see people actually doing stuff, but I'm not able to tell what he's working on. They're on something like the 3rd floor, which is just fascinating. These guys are all walking on spaces that were just recently built. They just built the catwalks and everything that they're working on now, which just fascinates me to no end how all of this comes together the way it does. It has often fascinated me. I'm completely perplexed by how you build buildings like that of such scale, because there's so much minutia, so much detail in those buildings. Like the order of operations, how do people keep track? How do people keep track of that, what little part they have to build on that day or when, and what it means to the overall, completion of the entire building? The schematics and the blueprints that must be just incredibly difficult to read and understand. And I don't know how people, I'm so impressed and in awe of contractors, architects, developers, people who can understand when to put that piece of steel in. You know what I mean? Like, what is the right time and the wrong time to put those? I don't know how they keep it together. kudos to you guys. That must be an incredibly difficult and complicated process. Nothing new to report on Harbor Boulevard. Situation is the same as it's been for the past month. There's still that sign out there. No changes to that sign. It has changed in the past, but no changes for the past couple of weeks here. We're waiting for them to do, or they're doing something on Disney Way and Harbor Boulevard. But Disney Way is still fully operational. There are traffic there going on. People are still parking over there in that cast member parking lot back there. So nothing to report on here. No new markings on the ground. All these they're starting to fade. They've been here a little while. They're starting to fade. So that's it for that activity. Walking in to the Harbor Boulevard bag check. Nothing new to report here. No developments as of yet. I'm kind of hoping. I'm just hoping that something happens here soon. Where we're looking at now, that's exactly where Monsters Inc. is going to be, in terms of the demo of that building. So we're watching. Let's get on the Pixar Pal Around. Coco, that's the Coco site, the future Coco site. And we thought maybe they might be moving some stuff out. So I was looking to see if there's anything happening in that regard. But we weren't able to find anything. There's nothing that I can report here. No movement. Nothing looks packed. Nothing looks like it's less than it was before. We'll pan to the right just to see if we can see anything back there at Paradise Garden. That's nothing. There goes the Incredicoaster. Looking at the Avengers campus site, or Infinity Defense. Now look, they've got more of that truss system installed. It was just to the right. It was sort of that right 2/3, and then where that yellow crane is that's the section of truss that I think has been newly installed. So that space is getting bigger and bigger. We saw that that steel on the ground previously. And so that looks like that's been installed. Matter of fact, there's some new supports there for it as well. Those 3 gray vertical supports, that's new. Well, I guess they have to be because you got to hold that stuff up somehow, but those weren't there in our last visit. We'll check in at the Cozy Cones next to see if anything is happening there. There is action. They are still working back there, but nothing I can point at and say that's a thing. It still seems like the same vertical rebar there. It's kind of gloomy and hard to tell. We'll go back to Avengers Infinity Defense. No action, by the way, on that. Oh, yes, they have. Last week, or it was the week before, we had reported there was a piece of steel connecting that surprisingly, installed left side, where the steel is to the left of that tree, that very tall tree. The steel to that left of the tree was recently built. And then we saw them connect it to the main structure of Avengers Infinity Defense with that horizontal steel that you can see running to the bottom part of that tree. They've now added more steel to the back of it. There's a horizontal piece, and it looks like maybe 2 vertical pieces of steel there, I-beams, that have been installed in the past week or so. So they're starting to complete that outer frame, and they're going to close it in. And as a matter of fact, they're going to put in a whole new roof line over that, the truss system, the white truss system as well. But that new steel there is fascinating that we're going to start seeing that side of the building close in. It's interesting because I didn't notice that until just now when I was shooting this from the Pixar Pal Around. I was like, I don't even see any of the steel, but there was actually more steel than there was last week. Isn't that fascinating? We'll take one last look over here at the Coco site, and I don't even see that moving container. Oh, that's it right there. So that's the same one, right? Am I crazy? No, that's the same one. They have now closed it up and wrapped it, and it's been I don't know what they called, just to sort of secure the base, secure the box a little bit. They've wrapped it up tight. I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, we're going to go check out Avengers Campus on the ground, but we'll stop real quick to show you what's happening in Napa Rose. No updates here. I've got nothing to report. They've covered it up. The rain has been wreaking havoc on things, so we can't really see anything in Napa Rose. Still waiting for a January, February-ish type reopening here. As a matter of fact, there's more tarp, they've covered more area over here to the left, which I didn't even know they were working on that space. All right, let's get to Luigi's Rollicking Roasters, and there it is. There's that new truss system. There's some guys actually building it, and there's the answer to our question about what that four-point harness was. It was to lift in those truss pieces. They were doing it as we were, as we spoke. There it is, and so that is really fascinating, and it looks like that is an open gate. Look at that.
We can see right in there. This is because of the rain, I think. They had to move some of the Luigi's vehicles perhaps backstage or something. I don't know. But because of the rain, that gate was open. And this is about as good a look as we're ever going to see on this site. So that's that building right there. That's the one that's sort of the jetty, the one that sticks out that is separate from the main proper structure. Can't really see anything on the ground from here, which would be neat. We can only see, what's over the fence, but man,
they fresh baked it finally. The gap used to be right about there, and it is not. Oh wait, I saw a little daylight. Yeah, there's nothing there. They gapped it. It's fresh baked. Now, even though we can't see anything very well in that gap right there, even though it's not like very telling, I have to think that might be the closest I've ever been to like ground level and right next to the thing they're building. We're 100 feet, or we were 100 feet from that work site right there. And that's approximately that little jetty, that little extended building adjacent to the entrance to Stark Flight Lab. I don't think I've ever been that close. There are pictures though. There's some pictures. While it was raining, they sent some Imagineers down there. Hi guys. They got some pictures Disney provided, or posted some pictures of the actual work site. So that's pretty cool. But even those pictures, you can't learn anything. They're mostly of the Imagineers, etc., and not so much of the actual construction. They're like, hey, let's still go behind the scenes. Now we're not going to actually show you anything. Never mind.
And then from Avengers Campus, we can see again that same crew working to install more pieces of that truss system. Fascinating watching this happen. This is probably going to be the most visible, obvious thing we're going to watch them build at Avengers Infinity Defense. I don't think it's going to get any more obvious than that.
Seems like that kind of changes things a little bit in terms of our perceptions of where everything is. It's time to go look at the concept art again. So there's the truss system, and to my perception, it was always only going to be towards the right, but now I'm realizing that that's the new stuff that they're installing right here. That's all we can see. What this image is the new stuff that they're installing right now, and there's more of it out of frame over here to the right. So right there on the other side of that crane, the truss system that we see in the concept art that's it right there. So all of this you can't even see in that piece of concept art. And it gets to become more clear even. That's why the entrance to Stark Flight Lab is so adjacent to the entrance to Infinity Defense, just over this wall. It's so cool, man. I don't know why my brain does not function. Let's go take a look at the other one, right? So this is the part, that's what they're installing right now, is this little section right here. You can't see it in this concept art because it's from the above view, but this point right here obviously is where we just saw in the concept art, and that's the truss system that they're installing. This is what they're building right now. So there's going to be a layer on top of that truss system as well.
So that's Avengers Infinity Defense. It is my understanding that Avengers Infinity Defense is delayed. The construction is delayed. I'm not positive for what reason, but it seems like they've been working at light speed for a while, but things have kind of slowed down a little bit visually, I must say. And my understanding is that Avengers Infinity Defense is delayed by I would say probably at least 3 or 4 months, which has caused a delay here at Monsters, Inc. We should be getting a date for the closure of Monsters, Inc., of Mike and Sulley to the rescue, but that date is most likely now, as I understand it, to be sometime in May. We're hearing sometime in May for the closure of this attraction, which is later than I figured it might be, right after the holiday, maybe in February. And that does include stage 17 to the left and stage 12 to the right. I think it probably also includes that water tower back there. Do you guys even know that thing exists? Like that was a landmark at Hollywood Studios in Florida for a long time. But that, I'm not even sure if people even realize that's even back there. So this is stage 17 to the left, right there on the other side of that wall. That's the Toy Story bus drop off. That's how close we are to that. That's where they're going to be building Avatar. They're going to extend the Avatar space from the half of the back lot into that into that space. And that's how closely connected these two things are. By the way, there's the monorail not going to be affected, as I understand it. The monorail will still be operational while they do all this. And then what's not being taken down, as a reminder, as we kind of rehash these things, is Mickey's Philhar Magic. This building and this show are going to remain, to my understanding. So it's just that stage to the right, but not this one here. And I'll take this opportunity to illustrate that, which is why I feel it's odd that they're not taking that building down. This is where I believe you're going to enter. As we approach this studio building, 17, on the other side of that wall is approximately City Hall, or whatever they call that, up there, the entrance at the, the when you enter DCA. If you look to the left, that's where you'll find, Oswald's repair shop, just, kind of maybe like 100 feet past that wall. I believe that guests are going to they're going to build something, and that is where guests are going to enter, as opposed to entering from Buena Vista Street and making that left, which always bothered me. I felt like that was a terrible way to bring guests in. This is a solution to that. Skip all that. They're not going to go in that way. They're going to go in this way, and that way you can go straight into whatever it is, whatever thematic transition they're going to do here. That is where I believe you're going to be entering the Avatar experience here at the Hollywood Backlot. Stay tuned. We're going to be covering that for 100 years from now. All right, we're gonna transition over to Disneyland, but first we're going to stop real quick at the Esplanade to show that the ticket booths are officially closed. We had talked about this a couple weeks ago, that they're closing the booths. We know that these booths on the right, these have been empty for a long time in preparation for Portos, but it's the booths on the left that are closing and now are vacant. You can still buy a ticket. This is where you can buy a ticket now. If you want to come in, you got to go to these windows right here. They share windows with Lost and Found. Now, there's a crowd here. There's a crowd, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but there's a crowd here. There are people who still buy tickets. And so I just wanted to do a little sort of rudimentary park science while we're standing here. So I paused for a minute to see how long it took for guests to buy a ticket in this queue. And so I measured it just basically 2 switchbacks. And it took 10 minutes for the back of the queue to get through the first and second switchback of this queue. And I believe there to be 4 total. So my estimation is, if you were to arrive at the park with this little bit of crowd right here, not a lot. That's not a big crowd, mind you. It would take you 20 minutes to buy a ticket.
So let me clarify. The ticket booths are all closed. They're 100% closed. You can still walk up and buy a ticket here at the ticket booth that they share now with Lost and Found. That's still a thing. You can do it. What we're talking about is, and what we're regretting, is the loss of the experience of going to one of these ticket booths, because it's a completely different experience than it is going to the Lost and Found. It's just not the same. I mean, I guess it could be, but it's not as nostalgic as going to one of these booths. And that's not even as nostalgic as the old booths they used to have here before. But the process, the issue is that they've narrowed it down. They've gone from 64 possible windows down to about, what did I say, 5 windows there that were open there. And then obviously, and now because they've compressed those windows and they've compressed all those guests into one, certainly there are fewer guests than there ever have been walking up and buying tickets. That's a given. We know that most people are buying their tickets online, but there are still, I could walk up to that window any time of day, any day of the week, and find a group like that waiting to buy tickets. It does still happen. That is still a thing. And those guests are now going to have a diluted experience. And it's going to probably change. It could possibly change their experience of how they want to go to Disneyland. It's going to take them longer than it would normally to buy a ticket. Normally you would just walk right up and get that ticket, no big deal. It'll take them longer, and it'll be a little more stressful because you just don't understand. But on the other hand, though, the guests that are going to that window are going to need help. And that's really what I'm regretting or lamenting, is that the guest that doesn't understand how to buy a ticket online, the guest that doesn't want to, the guest that doesn't understand Lightning Lane or park hopping or things like that, if they don't understand that, they're not going to have the ability to go on, use the chat feature on the app or something like that. And so they're the ones who need the help. They need the conversation with the human there at the window.
Good opportunity now to remind everybody that Disneyland and DCA are as fully operational as they have been and as long as I can remember, for years. And it's a great opportunity to get to the park. It's still not too busy. It's still pretty gettable. The park is pretty manageable right now. If you have desires, if you have plans to go to Disneyland, please do consider using our preferred travel affiliate. That's GetAwayToday. There's a link in the description. Be sure to click that link when endeavoring to make your reservation or to make your plans. Click that link, lets them know that we sent you. And then they'll know that you are extra special favored guests of the Disneyland Resort, courtesy of Fresh Baked Disney. Contact GetAwayToday. They are the nicest, most knowledgeable group of people, family-owned business that just likes to take care of their customers and make sure that you guys have a great time. So if you're planning, you can just buy a ticket from them. If you just want to buy tickets, you can do that. If you want to plan a whole trip, if you want to go on a cruise, go to Universal Studios, whatever, contact GetAwayToday. They're going to take great care of you. Hope you guys have a great trip. With that, we'll get into Disneyland. And before we even get into the rest of the park, let's stop first at the Main Street Opera House, where we've got a little bit of an update here at the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and Walt Disney show, A Wonderful Life. There's been some, you may or may not have heard, there's been various points when the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln show was being shown. That is because there was, I believe, to be an issue with the screen, where they showed the film portion of that show. So they have Lincoln on standby, and so whenever that happens, whenever the Lincoln show or the Walt show goes down and they lose some sort of functionality, they bring forward the Lincoln show. It's ready to go. It's good to go. They can do this whenever they want. They can switch the shows up anytime they want. On this day, though, neither show is open. I believe that the screen issue is for both shows now, so they're having a hard time keeping the show going.
And as if to accentuate the point I was making earlier about buying tickets at the booth, I was talking to cast members out there in front of the theater, the Main Street Opera House, and a guest asked me, what is that? What show is that? And I said, well, do you know Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln? Nope, no idea. And this is a young man. This is not, probably 35 or so. That's young to me, by the way. But it's not like, there's still guests out there like this. There are still guests who aren't completely versed in how to go to Disneyland. They need to know. They need to be advised. They need to be updated, and they need to be taken care of. You have to grow these guests. You have to nurture them and grow them, not ignore them and push them off to the side. I'm the guy that you can ignore and push off to the side. Do that to me. Don't do it to the new guests. Take care, cherish the new guest, Disney.
Let's take a quick tour around the park to see what else is working or not working. Adventureland Treehouse, the wheel is working. Buckets are still not working. Here's a fascinating development. At the New Orleans Square, I just came in to check on these walls, and there's suddenly scaffolding around the water. This is the water tower that they used to feed water to the train. The water tower has scaffolding on it. No scrim yet, so this is early stages. I don't know if it's just going to be like a paint and polish type job on this, or if there's something else happening here. We'll keep an eye on that. That's fascinating. We'll go to Pirates Lair. Well, Tom Sawyer Island to you and me. I don't call it Pirates Lair. Tom Sawyer Island, to see if things have gotten any better on the island. They have not. The platform out there is still closed. You still no access to Lafitte's Tavern. On this day, Dead Man's Grotto is closed, so I don't really hold that against them. There's many reasons why this might be, and some of them are guest safety. So this is not an issue of them deciding not to have it open anymore. If you were to go to the island today, Dead Man's Grotto likely would be open, but you could hear it. You could hear it in there. Obviously, no stream, no waterfall happening here. That hasn't worked in years. The bridge is up, which is great. I love that the bridge is open because it gives you a great view. Although it's a little bit worse for wear. I don't feel like they're doing a lot of cleanup, maintenance, TLC on this island like they should. Probably for good. They're doing it on purpose. They're letting it decay. And I don't mind saying that. But I love the view that you can get on the bridge here of the river, especially when the Mark Twain or the Columbia is going by and there's people out there running about. But this took me by surprise. I don't know if you guys know what's here or what's not here. Allow me to refresh your memory. This is from the bridge a couple years ago when it was still not working, by the way. It still wasn't working. But you can see there's the bilge pump, and then on that little bridge over there, it's kind of an open space. They've got some barriers up so you can't walk there, but there was, the pump. You could actually function the bilge pump back in the day and pump water out of there. You could walk up right next to that netting area and work the bilge pump. Today, the bilge pump is gone. The bilge pump is 100% gone. And in its place, they have put up these boxes and barrels and nets, etc. This stuff was not here before. None of that stuff was here before. There was just a bilge pump, and you would pump it, water would, etc. This is the end. That's the end of that feature. That feature is no more. That feature is over. That feature will never come back now. Once this is permanent. I don't know that for sure, but it feels permanent. I'm 98% positive that's permanent. They're never going to restore that. And as I say these words, it's bumming me out a little bit. We got more to report on. We got more to talk about. But say goodbye to any possibility of ever doing the bilge pump again, I think. The treasure lift, you can still spin it. That's still functioning in that regard, but it's not attached. It still doesn't work. The skeleton that's in there holding the treasure in that water there, that hasn't worked for a couple years either. We'll go across the bridge a little bit. That cave is still working. Those bridges and stairs are still up, affording you a beautiful, wonderful view. That cave is still open, but this cave is still closed. And I want to say this is at least my third visit in a row to the island. And I don't, it's at least a third where these caves, I don't think these caves are going to, look at how, you can just kind of tell. There's been no action here. These things haven't moved for a while. Look at all the, the accumulation of debris and stuff. It's been that way for a while. I'm just really nervous, you guys. I don't want to sound off the alarm too much right now, but I'm really worried about Tom Sawyer Island. I don't even like putting this out into the air, but I'm begging you, being worried that is, I'm just begging guys, please come to Tom Sawyer Island. Show Disney that you want this thing to exist and in a state that's better than it is. Your attendance will do that. You come into the island, getting on that raft and spending time on this island, I got to think will force them to give it more care and attention. This island is absolutely essential to the Disneyland experience, to the point where, I don't know, man. I don't know what I would do. I really don't know what I would do if we lost this island in some way. I don't think we can. I don't think it's a similar situation like what's happening at Magic Kingdom. I believe there might be reasons that they can't develop this land. Even if they were to close it, they wouldn't put anything here, which I kind of hope. But there's just got to be, man. We got to find a way. We got to find a way to get more life and more care onto this island. I don't know if I want to live in a world where I don't have access to this view, this scene, this experience. I don't know if I want. I cannot. I would not accept it. I could not accept it. Anyway, we got to keep going. Matterhorn. The waterfalls are still not working. It's been about a month or two at least. The front waterfall is not working. The one inside, like when on that splashdown, that one's still working, which is good. But the one in the back, that one's still not working also. Now, I don't know. I don't think this is a choice. I don't think they're opting to have these off. I think there's something wrong and that they want them to be on, but that is still the case. They haven't been on for a good month or at least, probably more. We'll go out to downtown Disney to check in on Tortilla Joe's, where there is no action. Nothing happening here. There is, though, action happening a little bit at Lululemon. Matter of fact, there's a permit. I heard there's a permit for some new signage to be installed, probably where that brick veneer is. I'm guessing that's where we're going to put the Lululemon sign. That's supposed to open in winter. It looks like they're wrapping up this area here where the windows are going to be. Stay tuned for that. That's probably, I feel like, and they are getting somewhere. I was able to see some of that interiors are starting to look more finished than it was before. Just a couple of weeks ago, we saw it was completely gutted. It was down to the studs, all exposed wiring and everything. It looked very gutted. It's hard to see through the lens in this case to tell, but they have made some progress on the inside of that building. And there's definite progress happening here at Earl of Sandwich. Definite progress happening here. The reason why I'm still rolling and still shooting in this is because I can hear them working. For the first time in a couple of months, I could hear people working at Earl of Sandwich. I can't see them. I couldn't figure out where that sound was coming from as I kept going around the backside. But there is action happening in there. Unseeable, and also I couldn't hear it from the front side either. But there's beginnings of a resumption of activity at the Earl of Sandwich. And in this case, a shout out to the Fresh Baked Street team. If anybody's staying at the Disneyland Hotel, I would love to see some photos from the Disneyland Hotel if you can get any. That'd be awesome. If from the Adventure Tower, you got to be staying at the Adventure Tower, I believe it is. Is that Adventure? No, Frontier. Frontier Tower. It's the Frontier Tower. Thank you. Here we go. Okay. No waiting at Sip and... I'm so sorry. I don't mean to pick on you guys, Sip and Sonder or the Parkside Market Cafe. No waiting at Parkside Market Cafe. There is some waiting, though, at the Earl of Sandwich. Check it out. There's people standing by. I've never had to wait ever at Earl of Sandwich. There's people that eat there, but I've never had to wait more than maybe a guest. But that's because they finally closed. Earl of Sandwich that closed last week. We reported on this. So more action is happening at the back end of that lot, but nothing to report here at Earl of Sandwich. In the Esplanade area, it's just blacked out, and they've taken out the tables and chairs, etc. We'll stay tuned to see if and how long it takes for them to begin the demo process. I'm not expecting for that to happen anytime soon. And that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I do hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and then be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And fresh baked.